Today on RxKnow, we're going to look at the disease GERD. It's been a very popular search term over the last week or so. So we want to dive a little bit into the medications that are used for that. So the first thing we'll do is we look at disease area. We'll go to G. We see gastroesophageal reflux disease, which is GERD. We will click on that. And from there, we look at the overall description of GERD. And then more importantly, we can click through the disease information. And then we have some detailed insights from the Mayo Clinic on GERD related to symptoms, causes, diagnosis, treatment, and then information if you wanted to go to Mayo. Get back out of that. We'll look at the medications that are available to treat GERD. Interestingly enough, many of these medications started as prescription drugs and then have recently become over the counter. So you can buy these at your local pharmacy online, where have you. I'll point out a couple that you're probably familiar with. The first is famotidine. Famotidine is actually Pepcid. So Pepcid was the original brand name of the medication when it was brought onto the market as a prescription. Since then, it has become over the counter. It is an H2 blocker that reduces stomach acid production. And again, we have the typical information, not as robust as many of the other medications that we have, but that's because it has been generic for a while. It's over the counter, and the pharmaceutical companies aren't promoting the original branded drug Pepcid. But you still can get great information on here about the medication, some new articles, clinical trials, and again, adverse event reporting is always important. The next area that we're going to look at is Acifex, Nexium, Prevacid, Prilosec. These are very popular medicines, and I'm sure you see a lot of commercials on these. And that's because they are widely used. They're called proton pump inhibitors. So let's click on Prevacid. You'll see a little bit more information related to Prevacid, but again, it is over the counter. And as I said before, it's a proton pump inhibitor, as many of these medications are. When we look at that, we can go in and look at medication guide, TV commercial, patient website, and new articles. And this is actually an interesting one. And I'll point that out, and it bridges to our next medication. So under Prevacid and GERD, one of the first articles up is evaluating the cost effectiveness of replacing Prevacid with a new medication called Voquezna. So this drug is looking at a study of cost effectiveness, and you can read the abstract, methods, results, conclusions, and keywords related to that. And it gives you a good piece of information because you're looking at a over-the-counter drug versus that which is a prescription medication. So from there, let's look specifically at Voquezna, which is a branded pharmaceutical prescription drug that came out in 2022. So Voquezna is actually a potassium competitive acid blocker. So a little bit different than the other two. So now we're looking at a different mechanism of action. But it also has a lot more information because the drug is currently being promoted in the prescription space. So of course you have a medication guide. As we said before, you always look at the indications and usages. As I said, it's a potassium competitive acid blocker, and it has a number of indications that you should look at, including in combination with amoxicillin, clarithromycin, and this is for H. pylori. So again, your healthcare professional will have the specifics and the rationale for why you would use this medication or any medication, but we want to show you where this information is available. There's also a TV commercial, a patient website, and of course, efficacy data because it is a promoted pharmaceutical product. And there's great information on this site. In this case, we're actually looking at healing rates with Voquezna and specifically versus Prevacid. So there's comparative data versus Prevacid. Maybe you took Prevacid before, maybe you've been put on this medication, maybe you're considering one or the other. So this information is always important. That's the efficacy page. We can go back, savings and support, company payments, clinical trials, new articles, and of course, adverse event reports. So it's important that we look at all these different medications and realize that when we're looking at GERD, there's a variety of options. Many of them are actually over the counter. And because of that, you probably have tried a lot of these to begin with. So we'll go back to the original GERD page, we'll look at all of the medications, and we want you to go on to look at RxKnow, find the information that you're looking for either a medication you're on or a medication you're considering taking, and get smart and know your medications. Thank you.